one of the problems that I've whined about a couple years ago, I stopped because there's no sense in it. But President Obama made it a mission after the BP oil spill to basically stop production on federal lands. Okay, so there are permits from BP oil spill that still have not been renewed yet because the EPA has stopped it. What this president, its administration didn't count for was that this is what happens in free market economies. This is why I love capitalism. What happened was private sector came in and said, you know what, there's going to be a void here. We got an opportunity to make some money. Let's step it up. And they got a little too carried away, but nonetheless started building production. And then the president began to boast about oil production being the best and the highest it's been in any administration. That is because of George Bush, because Bush issued all the permits that the now producers have used to increase on private property. On federal property, the federal government, what I was whining about back then was the federal government was losing, in my estimation, about $350 billion worth of revenues in royalties. Because what happens is for every barrel that is pumped on federal land, the federal government gets a 17.5% royalty. Then on top of that, which I didn't count my $350 billion, on top of that, the federal government gets fees for leases on that property. So one of the things that I said 3 years ago was how short-sighted the federal government was, because the private sector is going to pick it up, and the federal government has the mentality of larger and bigger government is losing an incredible, probably $500 billion worth of revenues. It is going to be impossible for us to not see state tax and federal tax on gasoline go up. Whether the price goes down or not, tax revenues are going to have to go up because we don't have the money in the highway funds to fund the work that needs to be done. That's been one of those trust funds like Social Security that Congress has used as a personal piggy bank. So there's no money in there. So they've got to raise taxes. They're going to raise taxes. And yes, this is a perfect opportunity because, again, you've got a government that can't think more than 2 weeks out of unintended consequence. So they will raise it now. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to complain, except for maybe me, that they're raising taxes because they can do it and get away with it, right? No problem. But it's extremely naive to believe that we're going to stay at $1.50, $1.75, whatever it might be for gasoline. Not going to happen. We will see. I think it's going to be a long time before we see $110 barrel oil again. But certainly we're going to see somewhere between $60 and $75, $60 and $80 a barrel gasoline. And we're going to see gasoline up and around the $2.50, $2.60 range on national average once again. And now the taxes are going to be a moot point because you have no sense of whining or talking about it. And the government's going to continue to mismanage that tax revenue. So they're going to be in the same boat from a federal perspective and not have any money to fix the federal highway system. States may do a little bit of a better job with any kind of luck in managing those additional taxes.